Hey everyone, what's going on? It's KG here. I got a TV update for you guys. Samsung just released an update. It's the 1301.5 firmware update for the Q series 2020 TVs, including the Q90T, which I will feature extensively in this video. Now this is definitely an update you're going to want to get, so be sure to stay tuned. Now, before I get into the firmware update, I just want to remind you guys that going forward, this channel is going to be focused on TV and any interesting technology from music to games. And I will keep featuring content for the Samsung Q series TVs of 2020, such as settings comparisons and firmware updates. But I will also cover all TV brands from 2020. I'll be having extensive buying guides with price breakdowns as well. And one of the biggest focuses of mine will be getting video games to look their best on these TVs, especially when PS5 and Xbox Series X is released, as I feel like there is not enough video game and TV coverage that go together when it comes to settings. The next video in the pipeline will be a breakdown of all the TVs that you can buy that feature HDMI 2.1 and the differences between them for next-gen consoles. So if you're interested, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications on that. So without that out of the way, let's get into the video. Now overall, I don't have a definitive list of changes or bug fixes for this firmware update, as Samsung hasn't released a changelog, so I can only really go by what I noticed myself. If you guys see any changes I missed or noticed any bugs that have been fixed with the firmware update, be sure to write them in the comments below so we can keep track of them together as a community. One thing I noticed right away was that the Tizen operating system felt snappier on my TV, which is great because the last update made the UI feel faster as well, so improvements on this front are a very welcome thing. Other than that, the picture quality in game mode just seemed to look a lot better in my opinion, and the shadow detail in game mode felt like that option had more of an effect than it did previously. Overall, there were two large changes that I noticed. Now the first one is the addition of FILMMAKER mode. FILMMAKER mode enables your TV to display the movie or television show's content precisely as it was intended by the filmmaker. It does this by disabling all post-processing and preserving the correct aspect ratios, colors, and frame rates. Movie mode and FILMMAKER mode are going to be very similar. As you may know, movie mode out of the box is already the best picture quality that you can have on this TV as far as color accuracy goes. On the content I tested in HDR, I felt that FILMMAKER mode took movie mode and just made it look better. Movie mode always looked great, but it did appear muted, dull, or sometimes dim in some scenes. I really wish there was more vibrance and punch to the picture at times, but it was always a really great color. For this particular content, I got FILMMAKER mode to look better than movie mode. Now you have to understand that FILMMAKER mode is actually an ever-changing picture quality mode. So if there's any metadata in the content that you're watching, it will be tailored to you as the creator intended it to be seen. And I think that's really cool. Overall, I say this should be your go-to mode going forward for movies, as it's going to make movie watching a lot better on this TV. And trust me, it was already top of the class for that. So this is a great thing to see. Now I'll run more tests on this for another video if you like. Just suggest me some content in the comments below and I'll test one of those. I'm looking forward to testing out Aquaman, as the HDR in that movie is just incredible. Alright, moving on to game mode. On the left, we have the pre-update. On the right, we have the post-update. As you can see, the picture quality is improved and inverse ghosting is gone. On the left, you can see the rocks displaying inverse ghosting. On the right, you see that it's not. And I am not in Game Motion Plus. So this is a great thing that Samsung has done. In Gears of War, this was one of the games that really showed off inverse ghosting a ton. And as you can see, we don't have inverse ghosting anymore at 60 Hz. You know, I didn't really expect Samsung to fix this. Inverse ghosting has been a thing that I talked about, but I really didn't expect Samsung to address it at all, since it's still an issue on Q90R and really all the R series TVs of last year. So for them to fix it in like 1 or 2 updates on this TV is pretty impressive. I just hope that they support last year's TVs as well, because it's really sad that people get left behind. If you switch your console to run FreeSync on the Xbox, I noticed some inverse ghosting was still there. Now, it wasn't as prevalent as before, and a lot of people might not even notice it unless they're in really dark areas. So I don't really think this is going to be a problem. How many people really use VRR in 60 Hz mode anyway, aside from a couple PC users, but they're probably outputting to 120 Hz mode anyway. The reason why this won't be a big issue for next gen is that you're going to be running everything at 120 Hz. Now don't get confused, I don't mean that every game is going to run at 120 frames per second. It's just that if you set your output to 120 Hz, you won't have inverse ghosting regardless of what the frame rate is. So keep that in mind. Alright, so that's great news. Samsung did a lot with this update, and you're probably going to want to get it yourself. So to do that, you go to the product page, then you go to support, and it'll take you down to the bottom. You click get more support, and then you'll see under manual and downloads the firmware. You download the firmware update, and then you drag that file onto a USB thumb drive. And then you plug the USB thumb drive into your TV. You go try to update your TV like you normally would through the internet. You'll see that the internet won't detect any update, but it'll ask you if you want to run the update from a firmware USB thumb drive. And then you click yes. And that's it. So you update, your TV restarts. I'd say wait about 10 minutes after it restarts so that there's no bugs or anything with the operating system right away. And then you got a really smooth experience. So that's it, guys. That's the firmware update. Inverse ghosting is fixed at 60 Hz, and Filmmaker mode was added. Really great update by Samsung, and I'm really kind of impressed. So if there's anything I missed, make sure you drop them in the comments, because I would love to check those changes out. And if you guys see any bugs, drop those as well. And if there's anything that was broken that is fixed now that I missed, let's talk about that as well. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed all of this content, and I really want to thank you for showing love to my channel and all my videos the last couple of weeks. It's been pretty cool. So thank you for that. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching.